The world is full of places that are infamous for the suffering and horror they bring to their inhabitants. Some of the most notorious prisons in the world are not merely places of punishment but rather sites of unimaginable cruelty, psychological torment, and physical abuse. These prisons have become symbols of despair, where the very essence of humanity is stripped away, and survival becomes a daily battle. The following is a look into some of the most brutal and inhumane prisons on the planet, where living is often worse than death. La Sabaneta prison in Venezuela is one of the deadliest and most violent places in the world. Overcrowding is a constant issue, and violence is rampant. Inmates often fall victim to brutal beatings, murders, and gang wars, all while the prison system turns a blind eye. The prison is controlled by criminal factions that operate freely, trading drugs and weapons. Medical care is non-existent, and diseases spread quickly, leading to a high mortality rate. The brutal conditions of La Sabaneta are epitomized by a 1994 riot where over 100 prisoners were killed. Life inside is a constant struggle for survival, with inmates living in fear of their fellow prisoners as much as the guards. Gitarama prison in Rwanda is a true hell on earth, where thousands of inmates are packed into overcrowded cells. The lack of food, water, and medical care has led to an appalling death toll over the years. Physical violence between prisoners is a daily occurrence, as they fight for their lives and limited resources. The worst part of Gitarama is its suffocating overcrowding, with inmates often left to die in the most degrading conditions. The prison's squalid and horrific environment pushes its prisoners into a constant state of fear and hopelessness. The Tadma prison in Syria is infamous not only for its brutal physical punishments but also for its mental cruelty. Inmates are subjected to extreme torture, including electric shocks, beatings, and deprivation of food and water. The prison gained international notoriety in 1980, when the Syrian government executed over 1,000 prisoners in a single day. Tadma is a place where human dignity is annihilated, and survival becomes a psychological and physical nightmare. The horrors faced by prisoners in this facility are almost beyond comprehension, with many having their spirits broken long before their bodies. Carandiru prison in Brazil is one of the most notorious in Latin America. The prison became a symbol of corruption and violence within the Brazilian justice system. In 1992, a massacre occurred, where over 100 prisoners were killed during a violent crackdown by the police. The prison was a breeding ground for gang violence, and many inmates lived in constant fear of being murdered or tortured. The conditions were so horrific that the prison earned a reputation as a place where life was constantly at risk. Inmates were often subjected to brutal beatings, and the lack of medical care only worsened the suffering. Bangkwang prison in Thailand is notorious for its brutal punishment system, where inmates are shackled for their first few months, and subjected to a grueling existence of labor and isolation. This notorious prison, often referred to as Bangkwang Maximum Security Prison, is a place where survival is difficult at best. The conditions inside the prison are deplorable, with overcrowding, lack of medical attention, and abuse from guards being common. Inmates are often left without any hope, and the harsh treatment they face turns the prison into a true hellhole. Alcatraz prison in the United States, though now closed, remains one of the most famous and brutal prisons in history. Known for its high security and isolation, Alcatraz housed some of the most dangerous criminals in America. The prison's most terrifying feature was its isolation units, where inmates were kept in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. This extreme isolation led to severe psychological deterioration, with many inmates losing their sanity over time. Alcatraz's reputation as an impenetrable fortress and a place of eternal despair continues to haunt the American prison system even today. Kresty prison in Russia is another facility known for its brutal conditions. Located in St. Petersburg, Kresty has earned a reputation as one of the most oppressive prisons in the world. Inmates are subjected to extreme isolation, with many spending years in solitary confinement. The overcrowded conditions and lack of basic hygiene make the prison an incubator for disease. Violence between prisoners is also common, and the brutal treatment by guards only adds to the suffering. The psychological toll on the prisoners is immense, with many losing their sense of self over time. Rikers Island in New York is infamous for its violence, overcrowding, and mistreatment of prisoners. The facility is home to some of the most dangerous criminals in the United States, and the prison's violent culture has made it a site of constant conflict. Inmates are often subjected to physical abuse from guards and other prisoners, and the lack of rehabilitation programs only exacerbates the hopelessness that pervades the prison. Rikers Island has gained international infamy for its violent atmosphere, where survival is an ongoing battle against both fellow inmates and the prison system itself. Florence ADX in Colorado is one of the most secure and isolating prisons in the United States, housing some of the country's most dangerous criminals. Inmates here are kept in solitary confinement, with no contact with other prisoners or the outside world. The extreme isolation is intended to break the will of the inmates, and the psychological toll is profound. Life inside Florence ADX is a grueling existence, where inmates are deprived of human interaction and subjected to constant surveillance. The prison has become a symbol of the extreme isolation used to control some of the most dangerous individuals in the U.S. penal system. Sabaneta Prison in Venezuela, like many of the other prisons in this list, is notorious for its violence and overcrowding. The prison is controlled by inmates, with criminal gangs operating freely inside the walls. Murder, rape, and physical abuse are a constant presence, and the lack of basic resources makes survival a daily struggle. Sabaneta has earned its place as one of the most brutal prisons in the world, where inmates live in a constant state of fear and uncertainty, knowing that death could come at any moment. These prisons are not just places of incarceration, they are sites of extreme suffering where the human spirit is pushed to its limits. They serve as a stark reminder of the harsh realities faced by those who are caught in the criminal justice systems around the world.